Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Sean,
I am Anthony, the amputee.
I'm John.
I'm Missy.
I'm Ray.
and we are here to talk to you about a movie that has made many people sad, makes me pretty fucking happy. Just got out of seeing it the second time in a couple days. Gonna be in my top of the year, I'm pretty sure, unless a miracle happens. We're gonna go spoiler free up front. So if you haven't seen the Philippou Brothers Bring Her Back, you can listen to it until you hear a chainsaw. Once we pause and you hear the chainsaw start up, run for the hills if you haven't seen the movie because we're going to go full spoiler. This one, as Anthony just said, deserves it. So, oh, wow, guys, I needed this. It's been floundering year. Anthony, what'd you think of Bring Her Back as a spoiler free? Talk about the movie. Talk about it as a what do you think of it as a follow up to Talk to Me? I think everybody here like Talk to Me.
I'm really happy that they didn't go into a sophomore slump. Uh, the movie was done. I don't even know where to start. Like I said, I was sitting next to Ray in the theater. There's some wincible shit in there where I audibly was like, "Oh fuck!" Like there's just moments in it that really took me aback.
I can verify that.
Yeah, but there's a ton of moments also where other films of this ilk, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I can see where it belongs in the pantheon of those films, and which is great because it's like, hey, those fellas have done an excellent job as far as creating something else that belongs with the genre and not just another throwaway film. Um, so yeah, this one and Sinners so far this year are going to be like in contention. I can't speak for the rest of us, but I really enjoyed the viewing. The experience was great. The sound quality is
Yeah.
fucking amazing. And
Yep.
that's something that carried over from the last movie too.
Yep.
Little details of like, the drowned ghost from Talk to Me, and you can hear the water dripping in the background. There's so much of that laced throughout. Um, just the various themes that get played with in this, and honestly just the mystery of it all, and I left the theater with so many questions and theories, and I mean you kind of vaguely get the rules of what's going on, um, but I also love that this movie is made for fans of this specific subgenre, so your hand's not entirely held. You can piece it together,
Mm-hmm.
but I think maybe it might go over the heads of some more contemporary viewers, but at the same time, if anything, it's a great like introduction to that type of film. So yeah, I definitely applaud the directors. Fantastic, great job. Acting impeccable, just all around grade A solid film. Again, this is just purely my perspective and opinion, but I love the film, and I honestly hope I get a chance to see it again before it leaves theaters. It's that good.
Nice. Now, Ray, so you were there with Anthony. What did you think of Bring Her Back?
It's solid. Um, I think Anthony put it well because I think I hadn't thought about the whole sophomore slump concept going in, but yeah, there's no evidence of that at all. It's fierce. It goes through the for the throat. It's well done. It's well acted. It's very well made, just like Talk to Me was. And from what I hear, because my sister actually asked me like a couple days ago if I had seen it yet. And I said, oh no, I plan on it. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet. And she goes, oh God, because I hear about that movie and they say it's really scary. And I was like, oh, I'll let you know. And it's the same thing that like I remembered people saying about Talk to Me. And like in the same way, like for the regular audience, yeah, it's got some stuff in there that's just wow. But yeah, it's very well done. Like there's no evidence of them like slipping or like not coming at this with everything they have. And in this, I mean, it's a about grief and death, and it's very good horror. It's the kind of stuff that like when people ask about horror and like I think that they don't necessarily think of this. They think of like slashers and things like that. And this is one of those movies where like I would say to somebody like, well, I understand you don't like that, but you should check this out. It's going to be intense and it's rough, but it's good. And I don't think that anyone would come back to me and say, "Oh, that was garbage." No, this is very well done. So very well done, man.
Missy?
I think Bring Her Back is an excellent movie that I probably wouldn't watch again. This movie, it made me so fucking uncomfortable. It cranked my anxiety like way up. I think it's a very well made film. It's pretty much the same way I feel about Ari Aster's Midsummer. I saw that once in the theater. It was a great movie. I never want to see it again. From the moment the Laura character comes on screen, it just made me super fucking uncomfortable. The performances are outstanding. Especially Sally Hawkins as Laura and Billy Barrett as Andy. The sound design is incredible. The gore is hardcore, and I think it's a genuinely scary movie that will make my best of list, but I'm not looking to revisit it anytime soon. And I mean, just a heads up, if you're dealing with grief or you're in the process of like watching someone you love die or anything like that, you might want to wait on this.
I could see
It
that.
might stress you out.
I could
Yeah,
totally see it.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I was thinking about a friend that I talked to online about horror movies, and I was gonna say to her, like, yeah, you should probably hold off on this movie for a little bit. Because, yeah, if you're going through some shit,
Right.
it's only gonna make it so much worse.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I reacted to it the way I did. I love Talk to Me, and I think this is a very good film, but like I'm going through some stuff with my dad, and it just stressed me out.
Raw nerve.
Like it wasn't a fun viewing experience, whereas Talk to Me I think is fun, and I rewatch that one fairly often.
That's fair. John.
So I'm on the same page as Anthony. I think this film and Sinners are my favorite horror films of the year so far. Um, I would put Bring Her Back uh, up there as one of my favorite films in general of the year so far. And there's several reasons for this. I don't want to just jump right into way and talk about like what films it reminded me of until we get into spoiler territory.
Okay.
And when we get there, you'll understand why. But for now, I'll just say yes. I think everything Anthony says about this is true. Everything Ray has said about this is true. Everything that Missy has said about this is definitely true and understandable. One thing I felt when I walked out of the theater was I felt kind of the same way that I did after I saw Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse and after I saw um, Jordan Peele's Us, which was to say that okay, the first film was not a fluke. You know, this is somebody who is entering a pantheon of horror auteurs. So yeah, to Philippou Brothers, I say welcome.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
For myself, I think Talk to Me is a banger. It is fun. That's what when Missy says it's fun, it is fun, and it makes me think of the word banger, right? This is
Mhm.
not a banger. This is the 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 perfect word I came up with watching it today. I think you have to divorce it from the movie that's attached to this as a title, but the word insidious. This movie is insidious. Um, it is so dark and grief-stricken and ugly, but in this just undeniably marvelous way. And like Anthony, I know what you mean. Like, I want to know so much more. There's like a moment with the videotape. So later in the movie, there's instructions on the videotape, like text when she's watching it, right? That's like dictating what you're supposed to do. But the first time you see Laura, Sally Hawkins' character, and let's just say that like I feel about Sally Hawkins, I think like I felt about Ellen Burstyn after Requiem for a Dream, where I'm like, I don't know, I could ever look at you again. Like I didn't know who this, I didn't realize that that was who that was, from Shape of Water, and I'm just like, holy shit, wow. But there's a moment where she's watching the videotape, and there's like, I tried the second viewing tonight to discern what it says. It's something.net. And so we'll get more into that when we go into spoilers, but there's just these little things that I'm like, "Oh my God, I want to know so much more. This is the tip of a fucking iceberg." And I just love that. I love that they do these movies where there's some thing, there's some, this hand or this videotape that there's this whole lore and mythology behind it, right? And you're just getting one instance, and it's the thinnest thin slice, and it's a great story. You don't need any more for this story, but it's like, but. So man, I think people will have trouble with it. Not because it's bad, but because it's a hard movie. It really puts you through the paces. But I just think it's masterful, and I'll just end by saying I doubt I'll see a better final image this year. And in fact, I said that after the first viewing. Watching it again today, the last like 5 minutes are like one of the best final 5 minutes of a movie I've seen in quite some time. You run through a lot of emotions. And while I do agree all the acting is solid, Jonah Ren Phillips, in my opinion, steals every fucking scene he's in. He plays Oliver. Every fucking scene he's in, he is absolutely amazing.
I'll say that really quick that to your point, Sean, it's like Talk to Me didn't scare me. Like it was very well done. I enjoyed it. It did not scare me. Bring Her Back scared me.
It's the opposite for me.
Really?
Yeah, talk to me. There's something about certain things in it that scare me. This doesn't scare me so much, but it traumatized me. It definitely like I said, it put me through certain paces, but I didn't feel like it actually scared me. Talk to me scared me more. I felt for whatever reason there was this the way you would slip into, especially that weird Hellraiser-ish, couple moments that you get. I don't know. There was something ineffable there, and there is here too, but it's didn't affect me the same way.
Ray was literally sitting on the edge of his seat.
Fuck yeah, I
I'm
love
not even
that.
kidding. I look over, I
I love
see
it.
him like shuffling forward, and he's just like
Oh yeah,
hunched
it
over, like
excited. I mean, it
just
excited me. Like I was into it. Like I was like
fingers
moving
crossed,
towards the
like
screen.
holy
Like
shit.
like come on, let's go. Like
Meanwhile, I pushed myself like back in my chair. I was like, this is fucked.
Yeah, it's like I saw the menu and I left and I had to have a cheeseburger right away. I saw this and I came home and I just started chewing on the woodwork in the
Oh
kitchen.
yeah.
I don't know. I just had such a taste for woodwork.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those ones that I implore everybody to go watch it. If I mean, for all the fans out there that love A24 horror, this is just in line with everything else that they put out. Not everything, maybe, but
It's
uh,
better.
it's
I would say
yeah.
A24, there's a slip in my opinion, and I'm starting to roll my eyes. Death of a Unicorn. This is fucking what made them legit, in my opinion.
Yeah, this harkens to like a time of like Hereditary for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is where
Yep.
this is like getting them back on track.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
We're gonna go spoilers then.
exactly.
I think everybody here is just dying to fucking talk spoilers. So please, if you're listening, I ca- we always say this. I always say this. I really mean it. Do not listen past this point if you haven't seen this movie. Go see it. I went Thursday. There were a handful of people in the theater. I went today, and it was probably three-quarters full, and it was mostly teenagers or young adults. And it was a rowdy crowd, but it actually ended up being like, when you get, and maybe it's because I had already seen it, but all of the, oh, hell no, and all that shit, it was on point, and it actually added to the fucking experience. Like, there's a scene with a car that, some car violence, car foo, and like the reaction, I wish I could have recorded it. It was magnificent. Like, it was just in concert, like three-quarters of a theater of young adults, like, oh! I mean, it was fun as fuck. So, while this movie is really drab and dour, you can have fun with that too. Or maybe we're all just jaded fucks. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
What was the theater reaction to the little self-imposed dentistry work that Oliver's doing there in the
similar,
kitchen?
very similar, very, very. But so that has a slow burn, just a little bit of a slow burn to it because you
It
hear the
does.
sounds first
Yeah,
Yeah.
before you
you
see
know
it.
what's going on, but you don't want
Oh,
to.
I mean,
You don't want to
oh
admit
my
it to
God, it's
yourself.
it's so obvious what's gonna like, kid. Yeah, you can't babysit. Sorry.
Can
Um,
anyone here guess, besides Anthony, because he was the one who did it? Can anyone here guess? And I'll give it away after with some guesses. What was the scene that made Anthony go, "Oh,
wait. Let me do the chainsaw and then we'll go into this.
okay"?
Okay, so if you haven't seen Bring Her Back, shut us off now. Okay, we are in spoiler country. Okay, Ray, what were you saying?
What was the scene? Can anyone guess what the scene was? That there was one particular scene, a thing happened, and it was that moment that Anthony went, "Oh," next to me in the scene. I was like, damn, that got Anthony. Can anyone guess what that might have been?
Was it the
Uh,
knife?
No,
Tell him, Ray.
it was the arm chew.
Oh,
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 dude.
When
okay.
that
yeah,
kid fucking pulled the flesh from his arm and started chewing on
yeah,
it, Anthony
yeah.
just went, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, that's fucked off." That was that's a rough moment. That was such a rough moment, but holy shit!
Well, because it's like the big string of it, like the way he did,
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure the sound designers had an apple in there somewhere.
but the visual on that one too was insane. Oh my
Oh,
god!
dude. So talk to me. The first time I saw that made an impression and carried to the next viewing and then carried to both of these viewings. The opening scene of Talk to Me, when you get, the guy walks into the house or whatever, there you hear somebody with a knife that he passes, and the
Hmm.
sound is so fucking crisp. I was like, oh, I already knew it was going to be a good movie because people disregard sound, or like, even if you don't disregard it, like the Filippo brothers obviously put the ultimate amount of care into sound design, and it pays
Yeah,
off in both of these fucking movies like jackpots.
Oh, I'm convinced that one of the Filippo brothers has severe anxiety that's triggered by sound, like me, because both of their movies are all the noises are so loud, and they know what to focus on and what'll get you.
Yeah.
the
Like
sound of
it.
those teeth, the teeth in the bar. Oh
Well,
my
ugh,
god!
I
Oh god damn it!
I hate anything that teeth will always get me. So I think it's kind of funny that the you were talking about the flesh ripping, because the stuff with the teeth right before got me, and then they go to the
Yeah.
ripping, and it's like, oh, okay, a cannibal scene, that's fine. Like
You know,
Well,
that
how
didn't
about when
bother
he's like
me.
chewing on that fucking knife too? That's
Oh,
insane
that's
too.
Yeah, that
I,
and
That's
the
a
I
rough
counter,
ass
and
moment.
I don't know if any of you have
fucking
ever
hate
seen
teeth.
there's a short animated bit called the hangnail, where there's a guy chewing on a hangnail, and then he starts to pull at it little by little, and he ends up pulling it all the way down his arm. Like
Oh,
it's just this big, like
Holy shit.
exposed wound, but it's like a little animated thing.
Is it like a George Plimpton
And
animated
it was
thing?
like sick and twisted, like one of those things.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Because that
part
sounds
of
like something that George Plimpton would have done,
yeah,
if
it was
anyone
really
knows him.
bizarre. But it also took me like Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't frighten me in the slightest, except for
Yeah.
that one scene in part three with the vein rip.
yeah.
And so it took me there. So I see that, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, so again, like it harkens, to all these different examples of that particular
Hmm.
type of wound for me
Ugh.
anyway,
Right.
because that's what I researched, that kind of weird shit. But yeah, that scene, I fucking pushed myself back in the seat and was like, ugh. So that
It's
one
okay. I
got me.
wasn't looking at the screen beforehand because I could
Yeah.
hear all the grinding teeth and it was freaking me the fuck out.
Yeah, but the
But
emphasis on sound, we were talking about this outside the theater. Ray had also said, it makes sense because you have the young lady who has a disability with sight. So of course, sound is going to
Yep.
be something that's
hmm
more amplified and tuned in on. So yeah, and that comes through in spades and works again, like Sean said, just fucking super efficiently and awesome. It just sounds incredible.
Yeah.
it does.
So many, the squelching and the
Oh,
grinding,
yeah.
just all those little details that come off just incredibly.
It's unnerving as fuck.
Yeah, it is. John, talk about your examples that you were going to give.
Okay, so remember what I texted you right after I saw
Yes.
this
Yes.
film? Yeah, so I mean, some of the obvious comparisons are things like Don't Look Now. I
Hmm.
would be really, really surprised if they were not fans of that film. And Midsummer is another example. I think Hereditary is another example. And I was just thinking, like, okay, like we got like familial trauma and grief being like, the sort of like the main factors here. And then I was thinking, oh, this is kind of they're kind of channeling Pet Cemetery here a little bit. I thought just like with the whole concept of the power of grief and bringing somebody back and they come back totally wrong. And the whole thing with like the chalk around like the circle with
Hmm.
the house is sort of like kind of like the
Yeah.
sacred ground he crosses, so and then crosses over and like the demon leaves his body. I was like, oh god, this is sort of like almost like you know an Australian pet cemetery that's been sort of tinkered with a little bit.
I thought that was a really interesting perspective because when you call it out like that, I can see why you saw it that way. Pet Cemetery is one of my favorite movies, and it didn't click that way.
Yeah,
It almost that observation almost makes me want to watch it again, but not right now.
yeah,
Yeah, as soon as the kids pull up to the house and I saw the white line, I was like, a dark song right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just rewatched
Ooh.
that recently, so yeah, it was fresh.
And once I saw that, I was like, now I know what kind of movie I'm getting into. And that carried on throughout the entire viewing.
Oliver, what was his real name? Was what was it? Colin Bird? Was that it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Connor.
Connor
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 Bird.
Bird.
Bird. Connor Bird.
Dude, that is, I think the character that scarred me the most, and like I hope that, I mean, it's like the way that it ends, where they're like, can you say your name, son? He's like Connor Bird or whatever, and you get like an inclination that he may be like alive, right?
Yes.
But I mean, at what cost? Like that is really, like our friend Chris that went with Missy. He was like, man, I don't know, I don't like when they fuck with kids like that. And the first time I watched it, like I don't either. But for me, this didn't cross those particular lines because of, I don't know, I guess because of the occult and
Hmm.
it wasn't, I don't know, it's just the intention behind what was going on and the way it was portrayed. um but really, like, that is that is some sad shit, man. That kid was just taken and used to house. You always love the way people that need to do terrible things and summon terrible agency from the great beyond will then refer to that agency as an angel, even though it's clearly not a fucking. Or then I was thinking like angels to some, demons to others, right? And if there really is a difference, if you go back enough into like Enochian lore, it's like the Watchers, are they angels, are they demons? It could be both, could be either. You get that one brief flash, when she's bathing him and she's like, how do I know that you're in there if I can't see you? And then the water starts to run. He starts to mimic the cat's voice. And then the mirror breaks. And in the broken mirror, you see something other than Oliver for a second. But it's just a brief. They just did it so well. Oh man! But that kid, man, I I I can't say enough about that fucking performance. That absolutely, to me, just blew me away.
To me, it carried over a lot of questions that I had about lore for Talk to Me, like who are you getting back? Are you certain it's the person that you want? If it is the person that you want, are they, now twisted, and warped? Like, what are you getting back? And I understand that the kid is being used as a conduit. So whatever is inside of him, obviously it's part of this ritual, and which leads me to another thing. I was like, where did you get the videotape from? I
Yeah.
want to see more of this.
Well,
Thank
dark
you for
web.
adding that element into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's totally
Uh,
dark web, I think, but also she's got that tattoo, the little triangle. And here, let me ask you guys this, okay? So we know once you've seen the movie, you know what the ritual is because, like I said, the videotape does eventually basically spell it out for you. Okay, your loved one, however they died, you get another person, you kill them the same way, or you make sure they die the same way. Then you take this thing that's an angel or whatever it is, and it consumes that body of your dead loved one. And then it basically puts it in the body of the recently deceased person that you put through death the same way, and you get your loved one back. Okay. So what the fuck is the stuff with their dad? Because Laura clips his hair and feeds it to Ollie at one point, and also like in this circle, which is actually paint. It's not salt. I noticed that. I thought it was salt too, and then this time I'm like, oh wait, no, this is paint. And she
It
paints
washes
something.
off, yeah.
She paints something in the pool, and we don't actually really see what she painted. So I think there's another. I like the way they let you find it. They don't spell it out for you, let you find it. So that's something I still kind of got to figure out. But what do you think? Like, is she a grieving mother who found a way on to the dark web and got this videotape and is trying to do this, or is she like actually into this shit? Because it seems like this stuff with their father is a completely different spell, for lack of a better word. I don't know. Am I wrong? Did I miss something? Do you think that fit in somehow?
I get the feeling from details like where she's like lost as to what to do when like Ollie walks out of the circle. When he tries to take him out of the circle and take him to the hospital, that she's a little lost on what to do. So like she goes back, she has to consult a video, and then she sees like, oh,
Right.
okay, I'll I'll rub his. I have to rub the forehead in a circular pattern. Um, I think I think the thing with the hair is she uses that. There's something about how it can assume the demon can assume someone else's form, or at least look like them, or do things like them if it's eaten a part of them. So when she after if you remember, because after she takes the hair and she feeds it to Ollie, he then goes in and like is the father that the brother sees. It's
Oh,
Adam, right? Or Aiden.
uh,
Andy.
Andy,
Andy.
Andy,
you're as
sorry,
bad as
Andy.
Laura. No,
I know I'm
just kidding.
terrible as Laura. Probably because Laura kept calling her the wrong fucking name.
I know,
But
I know. That's what I was referencing.
he sees the father, the ghost of the father there, and then he slips, he falls, he hits his head, and then before he loses consciousness, it's Ollie again. So and then there's that whole scene where like when
Oh,
Piper comes back with her, She hears her brother upstairs. Again, it's Ollie. So
But
Ollie
so
probably
that was
ate
just a
a part of him.
sound. So in
Yeah,
that instance, it was just a sound. But you're right. I think okay, that because the other thing is like she varies the specificity of making Andy kiss his father on the lip, which actually he doesn't do, I guess. But
yeah.
it seems like she's leading him for a very specific reason, right? So that's interesting, though. I
And
think you're right. So
I think that the tattoo on the hand goes back to the shape of the pool because she's got that triangle on her hand, and then we have that pull out at the end of the film. She's in the pool with the dead daughter with the corpse, and the pool is triangle shaped, and then they're inside of a circle inside the pool that's painted on the floor. So there's circles and triangles in this film, and I think the triangle. I think she has to get the tattoo probably to mimic the location of the daughter's death as part of the ritual. That's my guess, but I can't say for certain. But there's stuff like that that happens and like feels like clues to other things,
yes, definitely. I feel like there's a lot of that.
which I think is brilliant. I think it's really great filmmaking. It's good storytelling when you don't give everything away and you hint at a lot, and like it makes your audience want to go back to that world. It makes your audience like question and be like, I wait, you got to explain that. And they're like, no, that's the explanation you get. You get what I give you. It's Lynchian. Like, he loved to do that. He loved to like make a movie and like leave all these clues and you go, wait, what the hell does that mean? And his answer would always be like, well, watch the film. What do you think it means?
So, well, you just have to keep coming back to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
John, what do you think? Is Ray insane?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, what else is new? No, I mean, I definitely see like because the rituals just kind of carry on as like a theme throughout the film. I mean, even like with their, you know, like wake that they have afterward, where they're doing like all these doing vodka shots and everything, and then she and then creates basically frames him for pissing himself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from what I took, basically the home has now become a thin place because of whatever hex is now in that area.
Hmm.
And her taking the hair, because mind you, in this lore, the soul is in the body for a good while, for what she say about 3 months
Mm,
before the soul's gone.
Right.
yeah.
So in taking some of that hair to that thin place, it allowed the father to be able to come through for
Oh.
a moment. And I believe she was doing it as a tool to push him into madness, but instead got a warning. It worked in his benefit opposed to um, freaking him out and really just scaring the shit out of him and making him go nuts. So I think that's what that meant. And then as far as the marking in the pool, to me it was the watermark, like for how much water was in the pool when her
Oh,
daughter drowned.
yes. Okay.
That's
Got it.
how what I saw that because I didn't really see any symbols or anything inside, but she was trying to do that as much as she could, especially with the young girl, the young woman that's in the film now. You remember she's taking the heights to make sure that she is basically as exact as possible as far as mimicking the putting all the elements together that match the exact same instance when she died.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
and so when you see the water line overflowing now, something's off. And that's when things don't go right at the end.
Oh, very interesting. Missy?
I think you guys all have great insights. I didn't think that deeply about it.
Okay.
And
All right.
I just thought that she was doing other malevolent shit.
Okay.
Like I thought she was into different occult stuff. I don't know. Everything about her just feels malevolent to me. I don't think she's just a grieving mother.
Okay. I will say, I noticed on the second viewing, she actually 2 or 3 times she gives Piper an out. You can call me mom if you want. And and then there's and that's followed by do you like it enough to stay here when your brother turns 18? And then there's another instance as well, and I forget what it is, but and the reason why I say she's actually giving her an out, and this kind of answers my own question earlier of whether she's actually involved in the occult or if she's just a grieving mom that like stumbled upon this and is trying to do it. I think it's the latter because the thing that snaps it at the end that actually fucks it up, Piper comes out of almost drowning and screams, "Mom."
Yeah.
And then it's like all of a sudden it's like she wants to call us. So there's this element of her that like she's willing herself to do these terrible things, but then like the person creeps back in. And I like the idea of it being a thin place because I feel like that in that thin place and what's going on there, it's bolstering this like more nefarious or insidious side of Laura. And like there's only the same way once Ollie crosses the line, the circle, he goes back to being a little boy, right? It's almost like there are these moments where Laura becomes like a person again instead of this, malevolent witch, for lack of a better word. Oh, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what the next viewing of The Shape of Water will be like for me. I just don't know. I just don't know.
But yeah, this is
Yeah.
like another example of like a dark song or anything for Jackson where you play with the wrong elements and there are horrific, dire consequences for not understanding and just fully understanding how to harness the magic that they're using. And
Yeah.
again, just another prime example of how fucked up things can get when it goes wrong. And that just, goes back to what I was saying earlier about how this film definitely belongs in this subgenre. And I was talking to Ray about it. I was like, this would have made a great Sticks and Stones at some point. This is another good example of those types of elements in films that just carry over into this film that have may or may not have been cherry picked from these other flicks and just god damn it just hammers it home. It's fucking phenomenal. I have to see this again.
It's better the second time, if you can
I
believe that.
imagine. I can imagine so.
Anthony, to your point about it being a potential sticks and stones, one thought that just occurred to me a moment ago, with the white paint, it has a sacred role in indigenous Australian culture, where it's a
Oh,
sign of mourning and
Does it?
creating a communing with the spirits of beyond.
That would make sense as far as how it becomes a thin place. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
there you go.
but I like the fact that they didn't try to, you know, foist that on the audience like too assertively. I think
Yeah.
they definitely kept it to where like with multiple viewings you can know this much and this much. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying every, filmmaker that sets out this way could like, need to create some kind of expanded universe of,
No,
whatever
no.
that's just so overdone. But they've left themselves a playground to to work with these ideas further if they wished. But I'm happy with things the way they are, and I've only seen it once, and I just know that for a second viewing is going to reveal a lot more for reasons that you all are touching on.
Absolutely.
it's interesting that both their movies have these like occult objects, and not that they're in the same universe, but again, like I want to know what that .net was. It looked like some long consonant heavy foreign word. And just the videotape is so affecting. I mean, oh my God, it's shot so fucked up. And the beginning of the movie, you actually see it as it's happening, not as a videotape, but you
Yeah.
don't know what you're looking at yet. And then every time you see it after, you see it has this grainy ass videotape, but like where what was that? You remember that in like I don't know the 2000s there was that like website. It's not Golden Road. It was something like there was something Road, Silk Road or something where like supposedly you could go on there and buy drugs. You could buy people. You could like hire hitmen. Um, Oh, it was like a precursor to the dark web or whatever. They actually did, I think, eventually like arrest and try the person that was like running it or whatever. But it was this kind of website that was like whispered about, and I'm just wondering, like, is that, like, how do you even find something like that? Like, I don't know, crazy.
I think it belays a explanation of the obsessiveness of the grief that this woman was pressed under.
Yeah,
Like she's lost her daughter and she's not willing to simply accept that she's gone and move on. She has scoured whatever she can to find a resolution. Um and she comes up with this and it's not a perfect resolution, but hey, it's the best one she can. I mean, I think that's like the grief of the character is a big part of it, and like the fact that she's, I mean, you asked the question of like how do you come up with this, and it's like, you know it's almost the same thing that would happens when, like, you hear about somebody that found a hitman and they were like gonna kill their spouse or someone else, and you're like, how do you find that service? And the answer is like, if you're looking hard enough,
yeah,
you'll find the answer.
yeah,
I guess the
And
beauty part
it's
of that too is if you look hard enough, you're gonna find a cop. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
that's true too. But you have to have a willingness to go to dark places, and she has that willingness. She is so driven on this path that I mean, look at what she's done. She's kidnapped a child and inhabited it with a dark spirit. She's gonna adopt these other two kids and like basically get the one to move, like prove himself unworthy of being the stewardship of his younger sibling, and then I'm just going to take the sibling and I'm going to turn it into my daughter, like, make myself happy. And she's willing to do dark things to get the things that she needs.
yeah,
And I think the fact that the videotape is old as fuck means that it probably was passed around, like much like the hand and talk to
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Like it's something that's probably been watched over and over again, and some people watched it as like, check out this freaky ass tape, and I think that some people watched it as an instructional video, and she's one of those people that like it's now in her hands. It's her instructional video. I would be interested to see like if the tape gets put into some kind of evidence locker after this film, or it somehow makes its way back out into the world where someone else uses it. It's almost like the videotape in the ring where you can,
yeah,
it's not going to stop because it almost has a life of its own, like the cult, it's an occult object. And like, and talk to me, we know from the ending that the hand does not just like it's done, like it keeps moving on. And maybe there's multiples, like it's an interesting take on it. And I think I think part of the reason that we have these bad outcomes is that I think it's disturbing natural order. That's
oh
it
yeah,
goes
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
It reminded me. There's a film that just hit Shutter like not too long ago called The Surrender, and I just watched it the other day. Happened to watch it the other day, and then now I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, holy shit! Which is about this mother and daughter who the patriarch is passing away, and the mother wants to do a ritual with this stranger that she's going to pay, and they're going to bring the father back. And of course, nothing good can come of it. And it's it's that like how you should question that you're going against natural order. So what is
Yep.
going to happen? What is the outcome you think you're going to get by going against the natural order of the world? Everything dies, and everything is going to die, and eventually you will too. So if you cannot accept that, if you cannot accept that truth, and you cannot accept that law of the world, then nothing good comes of it. So
That's your Pet Cemetery right there, John, because that's,
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly, that's Pet Cemetery in a nutshell, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes dead is better.
absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
I like its correlation between this film and the VHS films, where it's like you're asking what kind of person this mother is, and she's definitely those people that would collect these tapes to, get to what end. And like for instance, what was it, the first film, where again it has to do with death and resurrection, where
Right.
this person collecting all these tapes eventually dies and then is resurrected and brought back through what means it's unknown. And so it's only slightly touched upon in those films as far as that wraparound story goes. It's the first one, right, where that happens, where they shoot him he blows his head off or something like that, then he comes back. I can't recall. It's that or the
Uh,
second one.
the first one's the one where they break in and the guy's already dead.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay, so the second one is the one where the guy kills himself because they find his tape of him killing himself and then
Okay, okay.
resurrects himself as well. So I mean, I love that culture, not culture, but that subgenre is touched upon in this movie. Again, like it borrows from so many different elements to build upon what it's already doing. Um, and then again, back to the character of the mother of the lost child, about the length she's willing to go. Just like in Anything for Jackson, you get to a certain point to where you can't stop.
Yeah,
There's no going back. They talk about it, then they're like, look, we've spent all our life savings, we've killed people, we've kidnapped you, we've done this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, if you guys like that movie or haven't heard of that movie, go watch it and then go back and listen to our episode about it, because it's
yeah,
fucking good.
Yeah.
um but yeah, there's again a line you cross that you can't come back from,
yep.
and if you do, everything goes wrong. And again, another clear example of that, I'm just reiterating that from earlier, but again, I this is one of those movies that I can go on and on and on about. And again, it's got all these little threads to pull at. And if you are, in the know about a lot of the movies that, we brought up here this evening, I think you're going to find yourself pleasantly surprised at this film that is just a culmination of all those wonderful elements brought together. Just like Sinners was one of the best theatrical experiences that I've had this year. And I do want to touch on one thing with you guys. Let's talk about the gore. There's a lot of good practical effects in this stuff.
Oh man.
Hmm.
There is some nasty shit that goes on. Obviously one that really irked the shit out of me came on earlier. Let's talk about some of your guys' favorite horrible, horrible body horror stuff that happens in here.
Knife
Take it
chew.
away.
Yeah,
Knife
knife
chew,
chew
hands
wins.
down.
The
Yeah.
chew.
You can
Yeah.
feel it in your gums. Like I
Yeah.
can feel that shit. Like when I floss tonight, it's gonna be like oh,
Well, and then he still had a big slice in his face. Like,
yeah, oh
Yeah.
God.
I hate anything to do with teeth. It'll always get me.
I, oh, I can like, you can't imagine you can't imagine sensations, but there's something about your gums and your teeth where you kind of can, or at least I can. And I think about the way that knife splits that tooth out of the way, goes into the gum, and then up into like his fucking palate. And I mean, I can almost feel it, but without the pain. But like, oh God,
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
And it's interesting because it ties back to the ritual. You only
Hmm.
have so much time while you're borrowing this or using this conduit. And that the ritual needs to progress. This thing needs to eat.
yeah,
And that's another thing that got me, was in the VHS that they're watching, where they show the demon eat the face of
Yeah.
the loved one, and you're watching that, and it cuts away for a second, but then it goes back, and it's even more fucked up than it was before. That part got me. Like that was some nasty shit.
Yeah. It's vomiting that the black gore into the fucking, oh man.
Tori, you're gonna love this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
The flesh on
Oh,
the arm.
That was fucking gnarly. Are there any
Yeah,
other
that
That's
ones
looked
for you
awesome.
guys?
almost so intense that
oh,
that's almost nauseating in how graphic it is. Like if he just kept going and just kept eating that fucking arm, that would have been a moment that I think audiences are already gonna leave and be like that fucking arm pull thing. But then if he had just kept eating that arm, I think people would have been like, I had trouble with that movie. I got almost vomited. Like it's rough. It's fucking
Really?
nauseating. It's pretty
well,
gross.
like
See,
Missy
after
said to
the
me, that was a relief after seeing him
yes,
fucking almost rip his fucking,
hmm
oh, on the
like the knife
wood.
to the face got me, and then they started with the arm ripping, and then it was all stretchy and it looked really gnarly. And for a minute, I was like, okay, this is really awesome, and thank you for not chewing on your teeth anymore. Like,
Oh,
but that effect looked great.
Even
yeah,
when
it
the
really
mom
did.
got bit on her forearm, I was like,
Oh,
"That's Dawn of the Dead," and I
yeah.
fucking love
Uh,
it. Like that's textbook Dawn of the Dead shit. I love it.
Oh.
Um, Other than the gore stuff, are there any standout scenes for everybody? That was there anything else that just really sucked you in?
my favorite thing is actually the relationship between Andy and his sister and the whole
Yeah.
grapefruit thing. And that they
Oh yeah.
never actually tell you what it means. You have to figure that out for yourself.
I
Yeah,
love that. I love that so
that was
much.
genius. That was really good. That's some smart writing because it's the kind of thing that people would just create between each other, and the
Yeah.
fact that it's just there and it's not explained is great. It's so well done.
Uh yeah. Best vehicular manslaughter scene.
Oh.
John
Yeah,
brings it
that was
back to a
awesome.
dark place. Sean, Sean's been
That
possessed.
like last again, that final image is just absolutely breathtaking.
The pool.
And the moments leading up to it, the way all of the pieces just, lace together. I mean, and I I love when they do the callback to earlier in the movie. Andy tells Piper like, "Oh, you just, Dad's on a plane going to heaven because there's a plane, going over their head after their father dies." He's like, "Yeah, that's him going to
Yeah.
heaven. That's what happens." And then so that last shot with her in the car,
Yes.
I it's just, they're able to do these awful fucking, the Filippo brothers do like just, it's evil dark shit, but also there's so many moments of like great humanity in it too, so that, I don't know, it really really impressive.
You know, my favorite moment of humanity in the film, and I was like sitting there watching it, and I understood why it was happening, which is she drops Piper off at that play date, that place.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I know why she's doing it because so she can get rid of her. But she goes and she's playing and she's having fun. And then and then when she comes to get her, she's making friends. And I was like, oh my God, if this hadn't been such a moment of convenience for her to get rid of this child, she'd
Yeah.
be a fucking fantastic mother because she just gave that little girl this moment. And I was like, if she just gave herself over to my daughter's gone and became the new mother for this poor blind child and her brother, she would actually be great.
Yeah.
It's tragic. She would actually be great. She's already got the infrastructure and her personality to know how to care for a child that's blind. So we see Piper at the beginning. She has trouble making friends. She goes up and talks to those other girls. Her brother shields her for the fact that they're making fun of her blindness. And then she's there with other blind kids and she's enjoying herself. When she gets up to leave, the other kids are like, "Bye, Piper. Hope to
Yeah,
see you again." You're like, "Oh, fuck. Damn it. She finally has a moment where she's happy, where she's making friends, and it's insidious. It's to get rid of her." And I was like, "Oh, man, that's a bummer."
yeah,
Ah,
yeah. That's a good call, man. And she did. She gave her those outs. Would you call me mom or
yeah.
whatever? Like it could have. Not to put it on Piper at all. I'm just saying, like you could see
No.
that Laura does have some maternal instinct, but the grief has just corrupted her.
I'd say those moments are putting it on herself. Much like a serial killer who wants to get caught, it's her
Yeah,
realizing, like, I've gone to this dark place, and maybe this other person can reach in and still
yeah,
pull me out. And
Uh,
the fact that she calls her mom, and that's the salvation, that's the moment that breaks her, and she's not going to now drown this poor child, and makes her realize, like, what am I doing? That's, I think it's her trying to like save a part of herself,
yeah.
honestly.
and again,
Yep.
going back to you know it, that theme, if she's able to achieve some sort of redemption, I still believe that there's a line that she crossed that she can't come back from, because
Oh
now
yeah.
say
Yeah.
she does do that, she's got the Connor problem now. What do you
Yeah.
Yeah.
do with that? Like there is no out, there is no going back. It will never be right ever again because
No,
of the
it's just
Yeah.
self-destruction
because
at that point.
yeah, because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
forces that she's chosen to fuck with. So I hate to
Yeah.
say fuck around and find out, but it happened.
Yeah. She crosses into this point of no return where she's just and again it just sort of becomes a cautionary tale about like where how certain emotions can lead to obsession, can lead to just where you just completely lose yourself, and in kind of an exaggerated form, but it's a strong. I think that's also where it kind of this film connects with Talk to Me as well.
Yeah, I would
But
agree.
I agree with Sean about these, that beautiful moment of humanity regarding the airplane, and just how it brings it all back around to where this movie ultimately is about the right and wrong ways to process grief. Not that there really is a right or wrong way, but um, I like that it just kind of ties the film up in a bow, and it comes full circle, quote unquote, for full circle, no pun
Yeah,
intended, regarding the film. But it's I like how that it comes back to that theme again, where it's like this is the correct way to move forward after someone close to you dies, and put together in a way, or put in a way a child can understand. And I thought that was just a really beautiful moment that was touched upon twice, and I'm glad that they brought it back again at the end. Um, I'm out of awesome stuff to say about this flick. I loved it. It's
same.
fucking amazing all around. Um, Closing thoughts.
See this in the theater for sure.
Yeah. Go out and see it. Plus, not only like the experience, but go out and support shit like this. Go out and support movies like this so they get made, so that
Yeah,
A24 and other companies buy them and produce them and put them in on screens in front of people. Like, you know, we want things like this. As horror fans, we want to see movies like this. We want good stuff. And the way that happens is we support it and we go put our money behind it. So
yep.
go see it.
Well said.
Missy?
I think the Philippou brothers are awesome filmmakers, and I'm willing to check out anything they do in the future. I mean, I like Talk to Me a lot better than this one, but it's still worth. I mean, it's a good movie. It's worth your time.
So that's Bring Her Back. John, you just dropped an episode to talk about you have a newish episode of Moving Histories and a new episode of This Movie Saved My Life.
Yeah. For moving histories, which I do with Robert Burgoyne and Kim Nilsson, we just released an episode on Sinners,
Ooh.
and our forthcoming episode is going to be on the Iranian film The Seed of the Sacred Fig. So check that out. And just recently, over at This Movie Saved My Life podcast, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Jaws. So, yeah, go over and check that episode. You get to hear a whole bunch of amazing stories about not just me and Miles's relation to this film, but to Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, Jaws the Revenge, and how for a college project, I whilst being very intoxicated, played the role of Hooper in the USS Indianapolis scene.
Nice.
That's awesome.
How that story unfolds, listen to the episode and find out.
Nice. All right, well, let's bring her back. This is the Horror Vision. I'm Sean.
I am way beyond words.
Ha!
I'm a man of few words. JT.
I'm still just Missy.
And I've just said enough.
Okay, now that I stop recording, guys, I got this videotape I want to show you.
Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of a collection of desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.